All right, so that was the memorial quest, chat. Now to do them again, only worse. Now to make it an actual challenge. Well, we know Jack's not really going to be too useful here, but I guess we'll still take Jack for the potential buff strip. So we're going to need something that can deal effective damage against a ruler. Boy, do I have that something. Hey, you know what? Let's keep things as they should be. That's pretty much my best buff scenario. We're going to finally switch off of this and switch to Ye Old OG. We're just going to let Jerker here one-shot it. Salter or Fujino for better utility. I mean, Fujino's a boss killer. That really is what she's kind of designed to do. Salter is a node destroyer. Now, this one, easy on the alt account, right? Like, gonna waltz right in, pop my buffs, and tell that man, good day, sir. SR ticket choices get harder the more you play. SR ticket choices get harder the more you roll. Like, the more units you have, the harder SSR, SR, GSSR, like any of those decisions get. Because you start getting to a point where you're like, hey, there's nothing I can actually take that necessarily improves the account. And it starts becoming a little bit more of like whimsical choices, or hey, I'm just trying to avoid a USO, that sort of stuff. 3-time, 3-turn debuff immunity was really useful. Nice. All right, this was the Guga Lagana. Actually, I don't think that's a bad choice here. Because, again, we cannot use Ishtar, chat. Don't you dare use Ishtar. My casters here, probably not the best choice. Who do I actually have leveled, chat? This, ironically, this could be one of my hardest ones, because again, I'm forced, so I cannot get bailed out by somebody else. Sorry, I have to think about this, chat. I don't think I have another proper charge C. No, not that. I do have another one there. That'll work. Rider on Rider? It's literally the best I have. This account has 2 SSRs and they're both casters. So, Gugalana, not exactly a good matchup, right? I had to actually think about how to do this. That lag, as he floored it. Just enough? Just enough. And now it gets actually hard. Because I could obviously push Gugalana, but Gugalana could also buff strip my ass. So this is just spicy no matter how I do about it. Oh, this is my first break bar. So the game had to give me my tutorial for this. So I guess it bears worth explaining. Break bars are basically another health bar. You can treat them exactly in the same way as you could treat like a normal unit's health bar for overkill purposes, but a break bar will not break until your turn is over. So there's nothing you can do about like trying to stagger cards or NPs to try to get around it, to get it to pop. That is one of the issues with it. It is literally meant to slow the player down. And you have to be careful because certain effects can come into play when a bar does break. A unit could say get more attack up, or it could place a charm on you. It could also full charge itself to its NP, which it will then get its turn right after and then fire off its NP. So you have to be a little bit careful with how some of these things works. Obviously, there's things you can do like stunning a unit right off the bat in order to make sure that it doesn't get that effect. But we don't have that luxury here necessarily, so we're just going to kind of have to go and pray to God, basically, that we can kind of get the job done here. I'm not going to fire off the attack up on this because I have a triple buster brave chain here. I think Jerker can get the job done for this first bar. And we're going to save that attack up for something where I maybe am not sure that I'm going to get the kill. As this one's probably going to be a knockdown drag out here. And there you go. Actually pretty easy. Now, Googleana did do the buff strip to me here last time. And yep. That's a butt kicker. Thankfully, he is almost entirely focused on waiver. That's a little bit spicier. We can heal with Kentoki's third skill, and we can also try to heal Jerker back, but this is very, very precarious at this point in time. This is basically who can get to their NPs first. And in this case, I mean, I could try to card him out, but you can see buff removal is going to be what it's going to be. So thankfully that should have wasted an action of his. So the more buffs I can put up, the better in that regard. This is asking for it, but we're gonna do it because basically I can bait his AI, if I remember correctly, into trying to fixate on me. Like, so he'll waste another action trying to remove that buff. Hey, crit star down. Oh, never mind. This does actually keep Jerker alive then. Perfect. Now we got Nitocris. And I can do that. He'll probably buff strip her. But Nitocris is an actual effective unit here. She is level 82, so we're going to also abuse that aspect. Going to try to keep doing mighty chains, get her through. Oh, he arts downed her. What an evil, evil mechanical bull he is. Oh, wow. They both are hanging on by a thread. And that might be just the thread that we need. So there is an arts down here. Unfortunately, a mighty chain here, not really the best of options. So he removes all of Nito's buffs. And basically, she could solo it from this point if she had to. Googleana is not somebody I really want to tangle too much with. Gonna taunt everything to mash and prioritize keeping her alive. But basically, we're going to give Nito the attack up here. This is an NP3. She is actually effective. We're going to abuse the arts chain if possible. I could have popped the arts up on her, but I suspect Nito will kill. I guess it depends on how bad this arts down is. That may have not been a good decision of mine. And we are going to sink the mechanical leg into the into the water to drown it. And it worked. And there we go. This account levels up. All right, so that, like I said, that was probably the hardest one this account will have. Because every other one I can get bailed out by a decent support option. This one, we could not. And that one was, like I said, because it was a rider, it was just not a good matchup for this account. This account doesn't have an assassin I really want to invest in yet. So it's definitely an issue, but something we could at least kind of come to grips with. All right, so this one was a caster. Wait, which one was this? This is Gouda, and it was a caster. Wait, why am I drawing a blank on this again? That blob? Taking a look here to see kind of what we got in the way of decent options. We do have a couple of single target riders on the friends list here. Something like Origin Bullet's definitely really strong, but I'd have to be able to get the character to their NP for that. The alternative is something like Ozzy here, and I think this does make a whole lot of sense. We're kind of just gonna proceed as normal. The boss is very likely to just kill stuff off, and that's fine. We are just gonna kind of keep doing what we've been doing, make for the best, and pray to God. The multiple break bars can seem daunting. If you're worried about the break bar effects, definitely go look up a guide. That is something that is absolutely a decent idea depending on what you're doing. Now, keeping Jerker deeper into the fight, probably not the best idea, but at least for the time being, we're gonna kinda just go with it. And I'm actually gonna see just how well I could maybe loop Kentoki here. He's not gonna pop this bar, but we're gonna try to get as much as we can out of it, and then try to get Jerker into a second bar if possible. Now, it would have been closer if we had NP5, but it still probably wouldn't have popped. We would have needed maybe a little bit more critical stars there, something to actually do. I don't like his ability to charge his NP off that. Wow. Wowzer. Okay, so we got to be spicy careful here with regards to stuff protecting Jerker. Jerker does have defense up, and that still was a pretty nasty crit. Gonna pop her attack up here just so that she can actually put some burn debuffs on the enemy. And we're just gonna kind of take the mighty chain here. She should be able to card out this bar, though it's gonna be a little bit closer. Okay, she did get the crit. I was gonna say, if she doesn't get the crit, it's gonna be a little bit closer than I'd like, but she definitely managed to get the job done there. All right, so that was a buff block that just got put on us. The crit gets dodged, but then he proceeds to just be like YOLO and try to like beat her to death there. Let me take a look here, see what this status was. Yeah, this is nullified defensive buffs, and it's just one left. So it's really only going to matter if I use something defensive on her, which current point in time, not really looking to do that. Kentoki is likely to stay up at least for a little bit here, but we're just going to kind of send this in Jerker's case. I'm going to take the 2 quick cards here. Hopefully we can get Kentoki to his NP for the next turn. And if we can get to the final turn without Ozzy having to come out on the field, this should be pretty easy. Sorry, I said final turn, final bar. And Ozzy comes out onto the field. This is not good. We're going to pop everything on Ozzy, and we're going to evade him. And we're going to let his cards hopefully do the trick. There we go. We get the bar break, and that's actually going to be great for overkill hits for Ozzy here. So Kentucky is doing some solid lifting for us at this point. We still have 2 more units in the back line. There's the defensive buff immunity, but not going to matter. Although removing all of the buffs on Ozzy is something I did not think he would do. So that is rough. You can still pop that, but again, yeah, it's actually probably not. Oh, he's immune to attack buffs now, so that could have been a mess up there if I hadn't been lucky a little bit, because I didn't even think about it. Just immediately Force of Habit kind of popped Mash's defense buff there, and it would have gotten eaten. Now, one of the things I can do in order to kind of protect Ozzy here is I can go ahead and taunt, but we could also potentially watch out for future stuff. So I think right now we're going to hold off on the taunt, and we're just going to kind of let the dice roll in effect. And we're just going to, since we don't have any access to a proper attack buff, we're just going to go ahead and send Ozzy's NP. It could be a long time before we get his stuff back irregardless, so I'm just going to kind of send it and try to get on the way to another NP if possible, or at least get this boss a lot closer to death, which Ozzy does have a good CE on. This is NP2, so even though I don't have his attack buffs, it should do some decent work here. And it does. We might even kill if we're lucky. We will kill. There we go. So just enough. That is a little bit of power of NP levels and leveled craft essences, which can be very, very strong if you level the right ones. Ozzy had a good one. He had cranking, I believe, which is one of the game's meta. Basically the best 50% and buster up NP damage CE. So really, really good for a buster person that's going to fire off their NP to nuke something. Worked like a charm right there, even though Ozzy didn't have any of his buffs. Due to my own screw up. Okay, this was the Servant Gauntlet, if I remembered correctly, with, what was it at the end? It was the Unkillable Medjed at the end, which was Assassin. So a good single target caster would be a decent idea here. See if there's any up on my support list. Sometimes it can be hard to find an offensive caster, particularly a single target. We've got some AoE ones. There is an Okuni here. 80 out of 90, 111. Not exactly the best. If that were a better one, I would certainly take her, but feel like I can probably find something better. Gee, Blue Apple, the extra AP. Listen, I should, but do you know how many times I've run into this issue on this account? There's a point where it's almost a futile effort to keep it down. This is an odd choice. You could definitely go with something like Ryudochi Temple here, but again, we're running into the issue of basically people not having their skills leveled and such, which, again, perfectly understandable for newer accounts. I get it. I'm not going to fault them, but I'm also not going to take them. Going to look for something a little bit stronger when possible. Like, for instance, right here, even this would be something that potentially could hit harder. That's not terrible. But that's not a good CE on her. A friend just bailed on me? No, it's fine. Like I said, I'm basically keeping this to randoms, mostly from the standpoint of if I can't do it, then how, like without taking like people's overpowered supports with regards to like, you know, obviously I can find some random maybe that has something, but if I just have a bunch of people from the fact that I'm a streamer come in here and help me, it's like I can't expect normal people to be able to do that, right? All right, this This is definitely a little bit better. I don't remember if Nito Alter has a writing skill, but this is a 50% charge sheet. This is an NP5, and she at least has the charge skill leveled here. So we'll go with this. Can definitely be an option. Unfortunately, the support variant is going to be better than mine because it's 1 NP level higher, and the skills are all a lot more leveled. So this is one of those cases. Just take what the game gives you in that regard. Don't try to force something. Riders are going to be a bit of an issue here. We're going to take Ace. We're going to take Jerker. You can see party cost is beginning to be alleviated a little bit here. No, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to keep the OG Mystic Coat on. So this is one of those deals where I could throw in something like Plug Suit and swap, but I don't want to end up in a scenario where like I just don't have a hard survival skill going like into Nito's NP or something. She can already death proc me, which is already bad enough as is. So having the the hard survival is probably better. If they kill off some of the frontline units, it's fine. We're going to make do with what we can. Like those intro sequences? Yeah, the Summer 4 intros are great. Mysterious sheeted swimsuit Medjed. I love when they do stuff like this, and it's, honest to God, it's still something that we're missing from a lot of the, like, events nowadays. Some of the events feel like they're kind of phoned in from the devs sometimes. Not that they don't do, like, you know, good story chapters and interesting units, just that, like, some of the like small stuff like that really does matter and really does make the events memorable. So Ivan's going to be a little bit of an issue here. Same thing with one sussy elephant statue. Gonna pop the defense up here just for the sake of it. I'm probably gonna have to Hokusai like Ivan. Well, I don't know. Moon Cancer at 3 turns is a little bit spicy. Ivan can buff strip though. Like there's a lot of threats here is the problem that you'll run into. And Darius is still alive after all this, so I am gonna go ahead and utilize this because getting out of this situation with most of my units intact is probably the ideal. Probably. Okay, that threat's gone, but now we have 2 casters with a rider having increased actions and a berserker having increased actions. So this is just spicy all around. There's not going to be a whole lot we can do, and we're actually just ever so slightly shy of the charge that we would need. Come on, Hoku Saber. 80% and you don't crit! Well, goodbye, Nito. Do one of those. I don't have a much better play there. Doing a mighty chain here is probably not worth. The last turn of Hoku Saber's arts up. We want to try to use her arts card first in case this does clean kill. It does. So now her arts card gets Darius, and we get a little bit more NP gain off of that rather than, say, the Ace Buster card soaking it, which we really didn't care to use. Now, Medjed's going to be rough here because, again, 3-turn NP cooldown. So this is pretty much going to just be get away with whatever I can get away with here at this point. We do have Guts, but it's only for 1 more turn on Hoku Saber. So to me, at this point, this is a just bet the farm on all of your arts up. You can see we're not dealing very much. Thanks to Ace's ability, any damage that gets done. So it's actually going to be decent for Hoku Saber's damage output here. Now, again, Hoku Saber, as we can see, increases her NP strength, which increases with overcharge and deal significant damage to one single enemy. There's definitely a lot going on here, but I'm going to value Ace and hers more so, just due to the fact that getting a little bit more damage out of Ace is probably better since Ace is actually effective. %90 crit and missed. It happens. Yeah, we've talked about the 98% concept versus 99. 99, when you're in the first 100, will always round up. 98 will not. Nothing you can do about that. Get some stars in here. Not a whole lot I can do. I can maybe dodge with Ace next turn. So we have an effective card from an SSR, a 90% crit. I'm going to go with the 90% crit here. We're going to try to feed a little bit more capability to Ace here. Yeah, she's going to have to do quite a bit of heavy lifting here. And we don't want her to kill anybody if possible. But she did. Alright, so she is NP sealed. This is actually fortuitous for us. Gonna dodge here with Jerker. We have double Buster cards. Gonna pop her attack up skill, and we're gonna lead with Ace. We're gonna try to get a little bit of NP gain here. She could probably kill Waver, but Waver's getting close to getting back to his skills. So if Waver can manage to live it out one more turn, I think he should have it. I haven't checked the cooldown because I wasn't paying too close of attention, but well, she's certainly trying to get rid of him. And there we go. Now, 35k here. This is a turn we actually would like to pop the bar. And if I can manage it, I can save her NP for the next turn here. But this is risking things a little bit. We don't have a Brave Chain, which would have been a little bit more ideal. But what we do have is we do have a Mighty Chain. And I just have to think about who I want to actually Mighty Chain with. I'm actually going to invert the order here. Good crit. Excellent. And we actually get Waver's NP should he manage to live. He won't, but we'll hope that he does. All right, so we get some Medjed power there. She wastes a turn trying to attack Jerker, and wow, Waver does manage to live. Now we get to actually set this up quite a bit. So this can be a triple NP turn. Now, if you will remember, basically Jerker's only effect that increases with overcharge is her burn. We don't really care about that. However, we need Waver's NP to go off first because he'll put defense down on the enemy. Then we'll do Jerker. Then we'll do Ace, who will gain the benefit of being later in the sequence. We did have some good cards there, but to me, it's probably better to align all of these NPs, take advantage of the overcharge, and go with it. No stun, unfortunately, but we do still get that defense down to land. We do also get a curse, which is, you know, just more dot damage at this point, which with an enemy that is fairly defensively stacked, this is decent for us. And Waver also did drain her of charge, so this buys us one more turn without the NP. Unfortunately, Ace is on like her last leg, so it's not good for her longevity because we're just increasing the amount of time that she can be basically beat on, in effect. Finally gets some damage. She focuses all three attacks on John Alter Berserker, and that's one of the things I kind of warned you guys about, is it can be somewhat difficult when the AI just starts kind of bodying you. We're going to pop Ace skills since she's close to death anyways. But you can see we do actually end up with potential for either a Mighty Chain or a Buster Arts Buster Chain here with Jerker. And I think we're going to take advantage of the Mighty Chain. Mighty chains typically do more. The only thing that should exceed a mighty chain in damage is 3 of a kind, and even then it's usually just 3 of a kind buster that will exceed the mighty chain's damage. So it worked. It was a little bit sloppy there, but we got the job done, and we didn't even have to use the support Cersei. Well, you know what? Let's take a look, see what Ataraxia here has in their support list. Ataraxia is clearly a whale. That is a lot of case scopes. That is sad and unfortunate. But again, this is event support, so event supports can be kind of scuffed. I'll go ahead and send it. Someone like this, you know, they probably are not like the most in-demand person because they're not in-game, not all their stuff's leveled up. This is actually somebody that, like, down the line, especially because we know they're going to be spending money on the game, we could potentially get them as a friend, and they could prove to be a very powerful friend for us in the future, even if they're not necessarily for right now. Get very skewed luck. It happens. All right, this is Abby Summer. This is going to be looking for an alter ego. So this is if you're, you know, someone new that's been following all this, it's going to be our first fight against a foreigner. Foreigners are the berserker killers of the game. They are also effective against other foreigners, which is making them kind of a glass cannon themselves. But we're going to go with basically our alter ego here if we can to try and get something to work. Now, with regards to this, finding a single target alter ego would be the most ideal. Somebody like Melt here would be a very, very decent option, but definitely one of those deals where it's like, hey, it's going to depend on if we can get her to an NP. But still, this is a very strong Melt. This is a, again, NP3. It's not got the best CE on. Got imaginary around, but we're gonna go with it. It is, ironically enough, it is a level 100 imaginary around, so this is a better than your average imaginary around. Somebody did actually level it up all the way. We're gonna go with that. We're gonna also go with Jerker here, try to see if we can work her way into a Noble Phantasm again. We'll have some backup ones like Kentucky, so we're just gonna kind of keep the exact same flow as we normally do. I believe the major gimmick here is to simply get Abby low and pop her guts. Though you do have to be a little bit careful because Abby does have a nasty kit for a servant. She can terror you, she can drain you. So there's a lot of stuff you got to be... actually, sorry, this is summer variants. She can put us to sleep, which is another unfortunate thing. We're going to pop both our dodge skills because Melt actually has a multi 2x dodge herself. We're basically going to pop all of Waver's stuff here. Now, she's sitting here at 50% charge. We do have a triple arch chain. So with that in mind, you know, if that crit, we could get her to full pretty quickly and easily. But there's no guarantee that we do. So we're just going to kind of pop what we can here. Also pop that just due to the crit down. Now, this is a pretty invested in Melt. This is somebody's baby, as we can tell, because we have FOD command cards. We have command codes on the command cards. You can see her evasions are gone, so we're just going to go ahead, pop the third skill here, and just kind of go. Give her the attack up. Let her do her thing. And we're going to pre-card the NP here because we want this Melt chain, but we don't necessarily have a good one. Putting the Buster card first will mean that the subsequent cards deal more damage. It won't affect the NP, but it will affect that third card and the extra attack. So it's going to be the best option for us here. Melt is basically a ballerina on stilts, so she's just going around slashing and spinning and creating a water vortex. There we go. Definitely good solid damage there. Not enough, but that is getting us extremely close. Especially considering I don't have a quick buffer like Scotty or anybody like that to have really helped out. She removed all of Melt's buffs and then put her to sleep, which was not good, but thankfully sleep is usually, as long as the unit gets touched, they come back awake. Now, this is not good. I didn't even think about this, but I actually did take a Berserker in here without paying much attention. Now I've done an oopsie, and you might have found yourself doing this as well. For me personally, there's not much I can do, but we can instead just not use the Jerker cards. We're going to use the one to set up the Mighty Chain, but then we're going to rely on Melt here yet again. We get her very, very close to having that Guts popped. Two of them get the Terror pop, and that's not good because probably it's going to be their cards on subsequent turn here. So let's see. There we go. We actually get bailed out because it was the 4th turn. So the 3-turn cadence reset. Melt is just going to get some really nice stuff here. Could have broken the change if I wanted to, like, you know, pop the Guts here. Unlike a break bar, Guts can be popped by switching, you know, your cards and NPs and altering the cadence there, but it works. Having this Melt on our friends list is not a bad idea. And yeah, honestly, this is a very well taken care of account. I can already tell they have 6 of these, which means that they have loaded out their entire support list, and they have my waifu. And she's 10-10-10. Oh, and they have Buntoria, and she's grailed. Bless. All right, so we're gonna take that one. We're gonna try to get that person on our friends list as well. And you can see we're getting summon tickets from this, so this is well worth your time to go ahead and do stuff like this. This is the Karen fight. Karen is going to be a little nasty. We are going to look for an Avengers because Karen is a ruler. Avengers shred rulers, but naturally this could cause us at least a little bit of grief because Karen has some nastier effects. Now, unlike the prior one, though, it's not a forwarder, so using a Berserker against this one would not be a bad option either, though keep in mind Berserkers can be squishy. So far, no real good one. We did see there was a John that appeared last time around that had a 50% CE on. That would be something that would be pretty decent if we can find something like that again. Although, unfortunately, we are not finding much. There's a normal John, Simp 3. It's level 90, but it's 111 skills and no CE equipped. This is, again, one of the big issues that you'll find is so many people don't get their units taken because they're just not in a good state. This is why you want to level up your unit skills, get them good, not just for your own sake, but also for the people that have you as a friend. They'll be much more likely to take your unit if your unit is well taken care of. If you don't take care of your unit, you can't expect somebody else to use your unit either. Oh. Barosu. 6661, and this is a 60% CE, but it's not because it's not MLB, so it's just a 50%. It's not a bad one. This, meanwhile, is a much better one. This is a MLB and at least partially leveled Golden Sumo, so it's got about 1,000 attack on it, and this is 10-10-10 skills. This is much, much, much better. Let's just see, though. That'd be an NP2 level 100, but there's no CE on. No CE on. I don't know what people's problems are. Let's go check the all slot, see if anything better than that one exists, but if not, we will just go with it. All slot is also sometimes where you see a lot of people put their best unit, as it's something that they'll do to like just kind of flex their favorite husband or waifu, but it does depend on what they're doing. So nothing there, so we'll go with that. We'll go with that one Jalter. Okay. Now, in this case, knowing the way that Karen kind of seems to be, I think we're actually going to put Jerker last there, and we're going to try to, like, let her kind of carry if we have to. We're going to try to get done as much as we can in these opening bouts here. Have enough for at least a 2-star CE. Sure, give Waver 30 HP per turn. What could possibly go wrong? Like the casino one looks great. Doing these memorial quests as a new player makes me wish I could watch or play these old events. I missed it looks so fun. Yeah, I mean it's definitely as like when you're doing it with a new account, there's a lot of like, hey, you kind of got to like solo your way through it, or you got to like just load up the best units you can, throw them at that, and then let somebody else carry the rest of the way. And that's just going to be how it's going to be for a lot of people. It's unfortunate, but sort of just the status of the game in that regard. Now, I have a triple buster chain here for Jerker, so we're just going to go ahead and we are going to full send Jerker's lineup here and let her kind of go to town. And we'll let Hoku Saber maybe see if she can get some action on the next wave, but this might not kill, so we'll have to be careful. Got about 110 there. Get another buster card. Yeah, this is not going to kill, unfortunately, but it's going to get pretty darn close. Unfortunately, with rulers, they take half damage from just about everybody other than Avengers and Berserkers. Extra classes, other extra classes, they can maybe do like neutral damage. But so this is one of those deals where I can look at this and I can see this is about 19k damage or health. But this is basically an amount that we can double. So in our head, this is roughly around like 38k is how much damage we need to deal. And that is not looking good for these cards. Particularly for these two, they're going to get reduced. This one's not necessarily. We do have a little bit of longevity there, but you can see Waver just getting bodied. Now, if Waver dies, there's really no skin off our back for the time being. We're going to go ahead and with the 50% just for some extra. But this is definitely a concern, at least if we start shedding units too fast. We actually do get the break. That's pretty surprising there in that regard. But we managed to get it early here, so now we're going to get some extra little spice. And looks like she's just got a hard-on for Waver there. The attack down is certainly unappreciated on our what was supposed to be the next nuke that we had coming in. We're going to go ahead. We're going to send her. We could give her the attack up buff, but to me, not really worth. I could try to loop her. Still probably not worth. This is going to be where this run is probably going to stall out a little bit. We're just going to have to kind of make do, and we're just going to try to get her as far as we can. Hopefully, we can get this bar pop before Jerker has to come out on the field, but that's probably unlikely. Because you can see, it's not like our damage is doing good. Really... sorry, I said Jerker. Jalter comes out on the field. Jerker is going to have to do some work here, but she even is going to be in a spicy spot as, well, she does effective damage to Karen. Karen does effective damage to her. We're going to heal Kentucky. You can see she just barely managed to avoid it. I swear AI in this game knows and sometimes will navigate to make sure you don't get to an NP evenly. It's definitely a concern, but there's not much you can do about it. So we could take this opportunity to go for a Brave Chain. Then Kentucky, though, is at risk. So I'm not really sure what we do. We can certainly go with the Kentucky Mighty Chain, but the temptation of triple arts here and getting Jerker to another NP, to me, that's too great because Jerker actually can deal effective damage here. So I think that's what we go with, although we're getting drained per turn, and now Jerker's dead. So I get punished for my hubris there. How dare I actually go for that? And Kentucky dies as well this turn, leaving only Hoku Saber up. And now 2 units come out with Karen having her NP ready. So this is absolutely the most unideal of scenarios. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go ahead. We are going to shield Jalter here from this oncoming onslaught. And we are going to taunt and try to draw Karen's focus. Now, Karen is an AoE NP. I don't remember. This might buff strip me or something. I think we'll throw out the attack up and just kind of go with that. But otherwise, not too much that can be done. We thankfully get Jalter's cards here, so we're just going to try to card her hard, and we actually do get pretty lucky in that regard. Oh, we just barely missed getting the pop, but we got some really lucky crits. Unfortunately, we get buff nullification there, and everybody else goes down other than Hoku Saber, who got the stuff there. See what the status is. So this is just immune to all buffs, but it's just any one singular buff. So you could do some things, but we'll have to be very careful about how we utilize her. Just double checking. We don't have any command codes. If we do, we might have been able to use an effect from something like that to nullify it. This is unfortunately probably going to have to be that, which is Jerker's critical damage, which really truly is unfortunate because Jerker is somebody that can absolutely like destroy with crit damage. Now that is just evil. We're gonna let this play and see what the effect is. But the instant charge was just an immediate, like, what the hell, man? So we got to be careful. She now has the drain per turn. So unfortunately, for better or worse, this is the turn that we must fire off the NP. What sucks about this is we have buff nullification again, and that's going to mean we're going to drain, we're going to utilize this and get rid of that, but we're not going to get any of the effects of this, which is really, really unfortunate. Or what we can do is we can choose to bait this out with this. Now, Jalter actually does have basically invincible on this, so this will still double as a survival skill. We are going to bait it and we're going to go for it because we kind of need to kill. Time is of the essence. We're basically just going to full send this, send the triple buster chain, and pray to God that we do enough damage here. If not, we have one more turn probably to finish off Karen. Yeah, this is an NP1. Not going to get an insane amount of damage here, but we're not going to get a bad amount either. That is actually really good. And that is the power of an extra class actually being effective for once. So this clean clears. Not as close as we thought, but still fairly close. So again, could have been a little bit closer if we didn't get as lucky with the Jalter chain that we did. But a lot of stuff also here kind of went against us. Karen basically perfectly played against us at certain moments. So realistically, you might get better RNG, you might get worse. If you get bad, feel free to pop some command seals and go in and revive yourself and go for it again. Or feel free to back out, try your strategy again, see what you can, change up. That's definitely going to be one of the harder fights you're going to encounter here. Same deal, I'm not even going to look. I'm just going to go ahead and say, hey, I could use a Jalter on my friends list. I got plenty of friends list slots. Let's go ahead and send that friend invite. That MP interlude carried hard. And there we go. Now we are on the last one. This is the Sea Monster Crisis. This one could be rough. For me personally, I highly advise the Trung sisters. They are exceedingly strong for this type of thing. So that's what we're going to go with. But let me think if there's something else I can maybe do. Mash here wouldn't be the worst idea. We could certainly try to level up a little bit more. But I am thinking maybe we keep these a little bit more in the back line. We're going to swap that, give her the worst C, give her the better charge C, so that she'll be closer to an NP should the situation call for it. We're going to try to kind of power our way through it, but damage is going to be a major concern here, as will sustain. This one's a little bit rough because this boss does a whole lot of damage to you, and one of the things you really need to do is stay topped off. Good news is the Trung sisters are both good single target arts loopers and party-wide healers. So we're going to try to hinge on that aspect and kind of keep them going as much as we possibly can. This one could be a little bit intimidating. Don't worry about it. Same deal. If you have the command seals, go for it. Highly recommend that. We're just straight up going to kind of pop all of their stuff here turn one. Give them the waiver buffs. and just kind of let them go to town. Now, again, you can see here with this stuff, we could pop this here. It's a 14 turn cooldown. I'm actually not going to go for it. We do have the Trung Sisters cards. And remember, like I said, our goal is going to be looping them just about as hard as we can. We won't get as much damage out of them as the playthrough I did on my other account where I had Castoria buffing them and such, but we'll still get some decent output here, and we might, if we're lucky, get the bar pop. You can see Trung Sisters have a very stylistic NP. They actually do quite a bit of damage here, so not gonna get the bar pop, but definitely very close. And the good news about this sort of thing is we've gotten everything on cooldown, so we're gonna get back to it about as fast as we possibly can. But the other nice part is this this pair of servants is actually animated by the same people that do the Pokemon, as far as I understand. This is a Pokemon artist that drew the Trung Sisters, and they're a Vietnamese servant. We get even more good cards there. We get a good bar break. And now we get some buff removal, which is not ideal, but it doesn't look like it affected the Trung Sisters too badly. They do have 2 buff nullifies at play here. Waver's just kind of rotten. We're not really able to get a whole lot out of him. We are a little bit worried about Dagon getting to his NP. We're also going to lose some of the Trung Sisters buffs here. And we don't have a whole lot going for us in the way of like cards. We're actually going to go with the Arch Chain here. The Trung Sisters will NP again. But we're going to try to get Waver to an NP himself so that he can potentially drain and slap a defense down on Dagon. There we go. And you can see he charge gained himself as well, so he would be at an NP this turn. But we are going to attempt to deny him. And we're not going to get the crit damage off of that because they were buff blocked, but we are going to still get charge. Charge is not considered a buff, therefore it cannot be blocked other than by some sort of unique anti-charge buff. Now, what we are going to do, though, is we're going to do one of these. We're going to take another Arch Chain, but we're going to use Waver's NP to drain this guy so that hopefully he cannot NP this turn specifically. And we're going to try to get the bar pop at the same turn as his drain so that he can't necessarily do like some sort of instant charge shenanigans on us. Because unfortunately that can happen. It's very frequent that you'll see a lot of that stuff. We do get their buffs in play there. And then, so basically I ended up putting the defense on just in case something happens here. And we can see, if we look at this, they get increased arts card effectiveness that increases with overcharge, and buster card effectiveness that increases with overcharge. However, the healing doesn't go up if we put them ladder. We'll just do that, and we'll save Hoku Saber's NP for potentially the next bar. Again, you can see Trung Sisters are doing some real heavy lifting here, just offsetting a lot of Dagon's damage, keeping the party alive for a lot longer than it probably would otherwise be. And we get the bar break. Hoku Saber still has an NP ready. Unfortunately, now we are NP sealed, and I totally forgot he did that there. So, not going to be a whole lot we can do about that. We kind of got to wait this one out. Thankfully, the Trung Sisters should be healing us per turn. And they were relatively unaffected by that. And our units coming in from the back line also are unaffected However, they're also not necessarily getting the healing from the Trung Sisters NP. They are, however, getting the fight-specific healing that is at play here. Gonna save Mash's taunt for when it's probably strictly necessary. Gonna do the 3 cards that I actually can use at the current point in time. It does get Kentoki to an NP, so hopefully Kentoki doesn't get insta-gibbed by Dagon. And looks like he manages. We do get some nasty defense downs getting applied at this point. But that should be enough for Kentoki to get an NP off. Now, unfortunately, Mash is very likely to go down. We could heal her here. Let's take a look at our buff duration. So if we survive one more turn, we have some capabilities. This really depends. Unfortunately, Mash could have, like, Dagon could have just hauled out a crit there. And if he did, Mash probably was gone. So I think this is just one of those deals where we're just going to go ahead. We're going to send this. We're going to get in a foot race against Dagon, trying not to let him get to his NP. And from there, we're just going to kind of do our stuff. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stagger the cards like that. So we're going to put the Trung Sisters Arts card first. And then last as well, so that we get the arts card lead bonus and an arts card in the 3rd slot. Should result in a little bit more NP gain. Kentoki actually manages to pump out about 150k there, which is definitely not bad. Unfortunately, Kentoki's probably, yep, gonna die for it. And then out comes Jerker, who is also unaffected by his shenanigans. Now, the good news is the Trung Sisters can Noble Phantasm again. And that is exactly what we are going to do. We are just going to full send this for multiple reasons. One, basically, they're just going to deal the most damage here. 2, they have their charge skill coming up off cooldown. So even if we can't full loop, they're likely to get the charge and get back to the NP anyways. And it's not going to matter because they still just did enough damage and the Trung Sisters hard carried this entire fight, making it a breeze, frankly speaking. So you can see Dagon did do a Dagon job of just shredding my units, but it did not matter because the Trung Sisters were just able to kind of keep going over and over and over again. And there you go. That is basically how we managed to do all of our memorial quests on an alt account that, you know, is free to play only. Hasn't really rolled much in the gacha and literally just has like a bunch of like level 60 and 80 units. So we're doing pretty solid already for an account, able to handle even some older fights. Now, some of that we got bailed out by good support units. Others we got bailed out by the gimmick of the fight. But that's just the way it goes. And even some other times you might, you know, be able to just get away with using command seals and blue prisms and other things to kind of get you through should the sort of content demand it. But again, not too difficult there, all things considered. But like I said, I've been trying to tell you guys for a while now. It's like a lot of the time people will tell you you can't do something. You definitely can. You just got to think about it. You got to approach it with an effective strategy. And if you make the right moves at the right time, you'll definitely succeed. But even then, sometimes the game's going to throw things at you that you can't handle. But that's exactly what your command seals are for. That's exactly where scuffing and, you know, going back in time can definitely help you out. So, and I will see you guys later. Knocked over my drink. Hey, if you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe, right?